Welcome, rare gems. Being wanted by many people means very little if you have to lose yourself to keep them. There is a strange truth about being a Sigma woman. You can be admired, desired, respected, and still discover that you are simply not compatible with most people. And honestly, that is not a problem. It may be one of the clearest signs that you have learned who you are. You do not connect deeply with everyone because your life is not built around collecting relationships. You notice patterns. You pay attention to character. You remember how people behave when they are disappointed, ignored, challenged, or told no. That makes you selective for a reason. But being a Sigma does not mean becoming cold, unreachable, or convinced that everyone else is beneath you. Real strength is knowing you can love people without losing your identity, forgive without reopening every door, and walk away without turning your heart into stone. Some people will want you because of what they see. The right people will understand why you are the way you are. In this video, we are going deeper into the psychology behind that difference. Watch until the end because the final points may completely change how you understand your Sigma nature, and share your thoughts in the comments. If this speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe and join our community. Now, let's get started. The rare gems. Number 1. The wrong people will call a Sigma. Females' discernment pride. This is one of the most misunderstood things about a Sigma female. One of the hardest things a Sigma female can learn is that people do not always react to your growth based on what you actually became. Sometimes they react based on what they can no longer get from you. When you become more careful about who receives your time, attention, energy, and personal information, someone will eventually say, "You have changed." And they may be right, you have changed. But changing is not automatically becoming worse. Maybe you used to answer every message immediately. You used to explain why you were upset. You gave people chance after chance because you believed understanding someone meant endlessly tolerating their behavior. Then one day, you started paying attention to patterns instead of promises. That is where discernment begins. Suppose a friend repeatedly cancels plans, disappears when you need support, then suddenly becomes available whenever they need something. The old version of you might explain your feelings for the 5th time. The wiser version simply adjusts the level of access that person has to your life. To someone benefiting from your unlimited availability, that adjustment can look like pride. But there is a major difference between thinking you are better than people and deciding that not everyone is good for you. A Sigma female does not need to hate someone to create distance. She can recognize their good qualities and still accept that their behavior does not fit the life she is building. This is where her silence is often misunderstood. She may not respond to every accusation because she has learned that some arguments are designed to pull her back into an old version of herself. Explaining yourself can be useful when someone genuinely wants understanding. With someone determined to misunderstand you, endless explanations become exhausting. Still, there is an important warning. Discernment can become pride if you stop listening, refuse accountability, or assume everyone who disagrees with you is beneath you. Real wisdom keeps the door open to correction while keeping control over who gets the key. Your boundaries should not say, "I am better than you." They should say, "I know what kind of treatment, character, and peace I can live with." Number 2. They want access to you, but they don't want the version of you that access requires. Some people are attracted to a Sigma female's strength until they discover what that strength actually demands from them. There is a difference between wanting a woman and being prepared for the woman you say you want. A Sigma female often discovers this the hard way. Someone may love her loyalty, enjoy her advice, depend on her calmness, and appreciate the way she shows up when life gets messy. They may tell her she is rare. They may even make her feel deeply valued. Then her boundaries become inconvenient. Suddenly, the same person who loved her strength dislikes her decisions. The same person who praised her honesty becomes uncomfortable when she tells them the truth. The same person who enjoyed her generosity starts calling her selfish when she stops giving beyond her limits. That is where the real test begins. People sometimes want the benefits of your character without accepting the standards that protect that character. Take someone who constantly comes to you with problems but disappears whenever you need support. You listen, you advise, you make excuses for them. Then one day you stop being their emergency contact because you realize the relationship has become one-sided. They might say, "You are not the same anymore." Maybe you are not. Maybe you finally noticed the difference between being appreciated and being used. A Sigma female has to understand that admiration does not automatically equal compatibility. Someone can genuinely like you and still be completely wrong for your life. They may want your softness while resisting your boundaries. They may want your loyalty while offering inconsistency. They may want your attention while giving you confusion. And this is why access matters. Access to your private world should be built on trust, respect, consistency, and character, not compliments, not promises, not temporary excitement. You do not have to become hard to protect yourself. You simply have to become honest about what certain relationships are costing you. The right people will not only appreciate what you bring, they will respect the woman you had to become to bring it. That is the difference between wanting access to you and being worthy of it. Number 3. A Sigma female's no can reveal more about someone than her yes ever could. Her yes gives someone access. Her no gives her information. A Sigma female can learn an incredible amount about someone by saying one simple word: no. Her yes may make someone happy, but her no can reveal their character. When you agree to something, most people have no reason to show you their difficult side. They get what they wanted, the conversation stays comfortable, and everyone moves on. But say no to something unreasonable, and suddenly you may see a completely different person. Imagine a friend asking you to lend them money again after they have repeatedly failed to repay you. You politely decline. A mature person might be disappointed, but they will respect your decision. Someone who feels entitled to you may start saying things like, "I thought you were my friend." A manipulative person may remind you of every favor they have ever done for you. Someone controlling may become angry because guilt no longer gets the result they expected. Your no did not create that behavior. It revealed what was already there. This is why boundaries are so informative. They separate people who respect you from people who simply enjoy having access to you. And there is another side to this. A Sigma female must also be careful not to turn every disagreement into proof that someone is toxic. Sometimes people are simply disappointed. Sometimes they misunderstand. Sometimes they react badly in the moment and later recognize their mistake. Discernment means watching what happens next. Does the person apologize? Do they respect your decision? Do they change their behavior? Or do they keep pushing until you surrender? That difference matters. Your no is not an attack. It is information about what you are willing to do, and their response gives you information about how they view your freedom. The beautiful part is that you do not have to argue about it. You can simply observe. Because sometimes you learn more about a person's heart when they hear no than you ever could by giving them everything they asked for. Number 4. Some doors close. Because the Sigma female became too conscious to walk through them, not every closed door is punishment. Not every rejection is a spiritual attack. Sometimes the Sigma female simply became wiser. There is a strange moment in personal growth when something you once wanted badly suddenly stops looking like a blessing. Nothing about the opportunity may have changed. The relationship is still there. The invitation is still there. The lifestyle still looks attractive from the outside. But something inside you has changed, and now you can see the price you could not see before. That can be confusing. A Sigma female may look back at an old relationship and wonder why she ever wanted it so badly. At the time, she saw chemistry, attention, excitement, and possibility. Later, she notices the constant emotional pressure, the inconsistency, the arguments, and how much of herself she had to silence just to keep things peaceful. The door did not suddenly become bad. She simply became better at seeing what was behind it. The same thing can happen with friendships, careers, social circles, and even certain dreams. Something can be good in theory and still be completely wrong for the person you are becoming. For example, you might once have dreamed of being surrounded by people every weekend. Years later, you realize that some of those gatherings left you drained, distracted, and disconnected from the goals that mattered to you. You did not become antisocial. You became more honest about what those environments were costing you. That is an important distinction. Growth does not always give you more options. Sometimes it removes options that no longer make sense, and that can feel like rejection. But sometimes the closed door is simply your new awareness refusing to walk into an old pattern. Your younger self may have accepted attention because it felt like love. Your wiser self may now ask whether there is respect behind that attention. Your younger self may have chased opportunity because it looked impressive. Your wiser self may ask whether the life attached to it is actually worth living. That is not failure. That is consciousness. Sometimes you are not losing what you wanted. You are finally becoming someone who can recognize what you never truly needed. Number 5. Being a Sigma female may require her to become disappointing. This is where becoming yourself gets uncomfortable. She may disappoint her family, she may disappoint friends, she may disappoint people who already created a version of her future in their heads. Why? One of the most uncomfortable parts of becoming your own person is realizing that some people will be disappointed when you finally start making decisions that actually belong to you, and sometimes you will disappoint people who genuinely love you. That does not automatically make them bad people. Your parents may have a picture of the life they believe would make you happy. Your friends may expect you to remain the same person they have always known. Someone you love may already have imagined a future with you that no longer feels right. The difficult part is that their expectations may come from good intentions. But good intentions do not make someone else's plan your responsibility. A Sigma female may reach a point where she has to ask herself a painful question. Am I making this decision because it is right for me, or because I am afraid of disappointing someone? That question can change everything. Maybe your family expects you to choose a particular career because it is secure. But you know that spending 20 years doing something you dislike would slowly drain you. Maybe your friends expect you to remain available for every gathering, every favor, and every crisis. You realize you cannot keep giving that much without neglecting your own life. Maybe everyone thinks you should stay in a relationship because you two look perfect together. They see the photographs. You live the reality. This is where authenticity becomes expensive. You may have to tolerate being misunderstood for a while. People might call you selfish. They might say you have changed. They might wonder why the woman they knew suddenly became more difficult to predict. But becoming yourself will sometimes make you inconvenient to people who were comfortable with the version of you they understood. Still, there is a warning. Being authentic does not mean becoming careless about everyone else's feelings. You can make your own choices while remaining respectful. You can disagree without becoming cruel. The goal is not to disappoint people. The goal is to stop disappointing yourself just to keep everyone else comfortable. Because years from now, the people who were temporarily disappointed may recover. But living a life you never wanted can leave a much deeper regret. Number 6. You are not difficult to love. You are difficult to possess. You are not difficult to love. You are difficult to possess. There is a difference between being difficult to love and being unwilling to be controlled. A Sigma female can love deeply. She can be loyal, affectionate, supportive, playful, vulnerable, and completely invested in someone she genuinely cares about. But love does not mean handing another person the keys to her identity. This is where some relationships become complicated. Someone may say they want a strong woman, but what they really want is a strong woman who eventually becomes easier to control. They admire her independence until she makes a decision they disagree with. They appreciate her confidence until she says no. They enjoy her individuality until that individuality interferes with what they want. Then suddenly, her strength becomes attitude. Her boundaries become distance. Her independence becomes selfishness. And her refusal to be controlled becomes rebellion. But healthy intimacy does not require ownership. If you love someone, you should not need to erase their personality to feel secure in the relationship. You should be able to disagree without turning disagreement into disrespect. You should be able to have separate interests, friendships, opinions, ambitions, and personal space without treating those things as threats. Think about a relationship where one person expects the other to answer every message immediately, explain every friendship, ask permission before making ordinary decisions, and change their behavior whenever jealousy appears. That may look like closeness from the outside. It can actually be control disguised as intimacy. A Sigma female has to understand that being loved should not require becoming smaller, but there is also a responsibility on her side. Independence does not mean ignoring a partner's feelings or refusing every compromise. Healthy relationships require consideration. The goal is not to win every disagreement. The goal is to remain yourself while building something with another person. That is the difference between partnership and possession. The right person will not need to own you to feel close to you. They will want to know you, understand you, grow with you, and love you without demanding that you surrender the parts of yourself that make you who you are. You are not difficult to love. You simply cannot be loved properly through control. Number 7. The Sigma female becomes less interested in being exceptional and more interested in being authentic. This is where the Sigma female idea becomes deeper. There comes a point when a Sigma female stops asking herself, "How can I be different?" and starts asking something much more uncomfortable. Who am I when I stop trying to be anything for anyone? That is where real individuality begins, because being different can become another performance. You can become so attached to being the independent woman, the strong woman, the mysterious woman, or the woman who needs nobody, that you eventually forget to ask whether that identity is actually making you happy. Authenticity is harder because it does not always look impressive. Sometimes it means admitting, "I was wrong." Sometimes it means leaving an opportunity that looks amazing on paper because you know it does not fit the life you actually want. Sometimes it means choosing a peaceful evening at home instead of forcing yourself into a lifestyle that makes you miserable just because everyone around you thinks it looks successful. And sometimes it means admitting that you are tired. A woman who is always trying to appear strong can eventually become a prisoner of her own image. She feels like she cannot struggle, change her mind, ask for help, or show uncertainty because people have already decided who she is. But real strength has room for honesty. A Sigma female does not need to believe she is superior to everyone else. In fact, the more self-aware she becomes, the less interested she may be in proving that she is special. She simply becomes harder to separate from herself. She can love people without copying them. She can respect advice without surrendering her judgment. She can change her mind without feeling like she has failed. And perhaps that is the deepest version of the Sigma idea, not becoming a woman everyone admires, becoming a woman who can look at her own life honestly and say, "This is actually me." Because the greatest form of individuality is not standing above everyone else. It is refusing to abandon yourself just to become easier for everyone else to understand. Number 8. The person who wants you most may not be the person who deserves you. The person who wants you most may not be the person who deserves you. One of the hardest lessons a Sigma female can learn is that being deeply wanted does not automatically mean being deeply valued. Someone can think about you constantly, chase you relentlessly, become jealous when someone else gets your attention, and still be completely wrong for your life. Desire can be intense without being healthy. That is an important distinction. Sometimes people confuse obsession with love because both can feel powerful in the beginning. Someone who constantly calls, sends messages, wants to know where you are, and becomes uncomfortable whenever you have a life outside them, may appear deeply invested. But ask a different question. Do they respect you when they do not get their way? That question can reveal more than all the romantic words in the world. A person may desire your attention while disrespecting your boundaries. They may admire your beauty while criticizing your independence. They may want your loyalty while giving you inconsistency. They may say they cannot live without you while repeatedly creating an environment that makes you emotionally exhausted. That is not the kind of desire you should confuse with love. Consider two people. One is intensely interested in you, but constantly pressures you to become who they want. The other gives you space, listens when you disagree, keeps their promises, and respects your decisions even when those decisions are not what they would have chosen. The first person may want you more loudly. The second person may deserve you more quietly. That is why chemistry needs wisdom. You can have incredible attraction with someone and still discover that your values, communication styles, emotional maturity, and ideas about relationships simply do not fit. A Sigma female has to learn not to measure a person's value by how badly they want her. Watch how they behave when they are disappointed. Watch how they handle your boundaries. Watch whether their actions remain consistent when the excitement fades. Because anybody can want you when everything is going their way. Character becomes visible when it is not. The right person will not simply fight to have you. They will build a relationship in which you feel respected enough to remain fully yourself. And that difference can save you years of confusion. Number 9. Your rarity creates projection. Your rarity creates projection. When people cannot easily understand you, they often create a story about you that makes sense to them. And sometimes that story has very little to do with who you actually are. One person may call you arrogant because you do not explain every decision you make. Another may call you mysterious because you do not reveal everything about your private life. Someone else may find you intimidating simply because you remain calm when they expected you to react. But here is the interesting part. They may not actually be describing you. They may be describing their experience of you. For example, imagine you are in a conversation and someone makes a comment you disagree with. Instead of arguing, you simply say, "I see it differently," and leave it there. To a secure person, that may look like confidence. To someone who needs constant agreement, it might look like arrogance. Same behavior, different interpretation. This is why a Sigma female has to be careful with labels. Not every person who misunderstands you is jealous, insecure, or malicious. Sometimes you genuinely communicate poorly. Sometimes your silence can come across as dismissive. Sometimes your independence can unintentionally make people feel excluded. That is where self-awareness matters. You should be willing to ask, is this criticism revealing something about them or something about me? That question protects you from two extremes. changing yourself every time someone misunderstands you, and becoming so convinced that everyone else is wrong that you stop examining yourself. Your uniqueness will naturally attract different interpretations. Some people will admire it. Some will misunderstand it. Some will feel uncomfortable around it. You cannot control every interpretation, but you can control whether you remain honest enough to know who you actually are. And sometimes that is the greatest protection a Sigma female can have. Number 10, you may be attractive. Precisely because you are not trying to be attractive to everyone, you may be attractive. Precisely because you are not trying to be attractive to everyone. There is something strangely compelling about a woman who is not constantly trying to make herself acceptable to everyone around her, not because she is rude or deliberately difficult, but because her personality is not built around managing other people's reactions. A Sigma female may walk into different situations and still remain recognizably herself. She can laugh when something is genuinely funny, disagree when she sees things differently, remain quiet when she has nothing meaningful to say, and admit when she is wrong without feeling like she has lost something. That kind of authenticity can be surprisingly attractive. Think about someone who changes her opinions depending on who she is talking to. Around one group, she pretends to love certain things. Around another, she changes her personality completely. Eventually, people may start wondering which version is actually real. Now compare that with a woman who does not constantly rearrange herself for every audience. She may not impress everyone, but there is something refreshing about knowing where she stands. And here is the part people often miss. She may become attractive precisely because she is not trying so hard to be attractive. Her confidence does not depend on receiving a positive reaction every 5 minutes. Her personality has room to breathe. She is not treating every conversation like an audition. But authenticity does not mean refusing to grow. It does not mean saying, "This is just who I am," whenever someone points out genuinely harmful behavior. A mature Sigma female can remain true to herself while still learning, apologizing, and becoming better. That is the real difference. She is not trying to be universally admired. She is trying to be genuinely herself. And ironically, that can make people notice her even more, because there is something rare about meeting a person whose personality feels lived in rather than carefully designed for an audience. In final words, being deeply wanted is not the same as being deeply understood. Maybe that is the real lesson behind being a Sigma female. Your worth is not proven by how many people want access to you. It is revealed by how honestly you can live without becoming a different person just to keep someone interested. You have learned to notice patterns. You have learned that a person's reaction to your boundaries can tell you more than their promises. You have learned that attraction can exist without compatibility, and that someone can desire you while still being completely wrong for your life. That does not make you cold. It means you are becoming more conscious of what deserves a place in your world. But remember this: being Sigma is not about believing you are better than everyone else. It is about becoming honest enough with yourself that you no longer confuse attention with love, control with intimacy, or being wanted with being valued. Some people will misunderstand your choices. Let them. Just make sure your confidence never becomes arrogance and your boundaries never become an excuse to stop growing. If these points helped you understand your Sigma nature on a deeper level, stay with us for more conversations like this. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us which points spoke to you most, and subscribe to join our community. Your individuality is not a problem to solve. Learn it, protect it, and use it wisely. And God bless you the rare gems.